Hey friends, welcome to my channel. Today I have got a fun DIY craft video for you all. Now let's get crafting. For this project, we are going to be taking this super popular witch form hat. I have seen many people trying to find these, and I've seen a lot of friends also using them and turning them into hats. But we're going to turn ours into a cornucopia flower front door decor piece, or it could also be like a bundle of flowers, however you want to look at it. But we are going to take it and cut it apart. We're going to take off the rim of the hat. We don't need that part. And then it's going to want to break right here on this piece. If it does, it's not a big deal. You're going to just take some twine, glue it, and wrap it around until it holds those two pieces together. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be covered up by the burlap, which we're going to be using next. So now at this point, go ahead and take out your burlap, and you're going to just start gluing it around to create that cornucopia look. And the cool thing about this wire, you can also bend it and shape it and twist it however you want to make it look where it's more of a curved look. I just kept mine straight, so this is why I'm saying that maybe it looks like a bundle of flowers too for the fall time. It's just whatever your preference is and what you think, but I was going for a cornucopia. I like how it turns out. I'm going to take this really pretty mesh brown color, and I wrapped it all around to give it that woodsy look on it. This part is so quick, so fast to create it. This project seriously took me maybe like less than 10 minutes to do, and it's so beautiful at the end to put out on your front door or somewhere in your house if you want to hang it up. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to stuff it with the florals that we like. The Dollar Tree had so many pretty florals this year, and I had so much fun mixing and matching all of these different colors, bringing them all together to create a really soft farmhouse look to my florals. I didn't want anything harsh in here. I wanted it to look like we would see natural fall colors out there, where it was a lot of creamy brown tones and some ivories, and I'm just bringing it all together until I get the look that I want in my florals, making sure that I cut apart the flowers versus trying to just stick the whole thing in as a unit where you see that plastic stem. You can actually see one over to the right by my twine. I don't ever like putting them in like that. I like to separate them. Then we're going to take that really cute burlap bow that they had where it's got this pattern on it, and we're going to just glue down the first one, and then on the second one we're going to cut off the tails, and we're going to add that right onto the bow to make it look more full. And then we're going to bring on the two tails and glue those into place to make a really pretty bow to complete the look. For this project, we're going to be taking these 3 long painter sticks, my saw, and my miter box. I will link my tools down below in my description box. And I'm going to be cutting down to size my painter sticks. I want them to be the width of these 3 picket fence posts that you can pick up from the home improvement stores. I got mine each for about $2 with the painter sticks involved and the paint. This whole project is coming out to be right around $7. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut them down to the size that we need so we can bring those post pieces together. But first, before we start screwing everything together, I want to paint everything orange on one side and white on the other. Now, if you ever have a color on hand that it's not the color you want, don't ever be afraid to try to get that color by adding in white or a brown or a black. One of those mediums that allows you to lighten the color or darken the color. I'm going with the strawberry orange color so that way I can use it all throughout the fall. I just love this color so much. It's one of my favorite colors ever to work with. And then the other side I'm going to paint white, and make sure that I paint the sides of these post fence pieces white as well, because I want the white to be coming around the sides. And then to make sure that this piece is nice and secure, I'm also going to cut 2 more pieces for the back side, the white side of this, to make it look like a cute little fence leaning against my door. Now these signs can be super expensive. anywhere between $30 to $50. I've seen them priced all differently, but I wanted to make mine really affordable and still get that cute look for my front door. At this point, I'm lining up my wood pieces, and then I'm going to drill in screws to hold everything in place. Now, just a friendly tip, if you do not pre-drill holes through these painter sticks, the sticks will crack. So make sure you do a drill through first and then go ahead and screw in your screws. You could use a staple gun and some glue if you want to take that route too. Just make sure that the staples are long enough to go through all the wood, and that will work as well. Now I'm just going to take this printable that I basically went onto my Word document and I printed out the letters welcome, and I'm going to just cut them out and trace them onto the sign. This is such an easy option if you don't have a vinyl cutting machine, and it really does allow you to be able to get that look where the font looks beautiful. If you don't feel comfortable with freehanding it with your hand, and you don't feel comfortable freehanding it even with sketching on with a pencil, this is a really great option to keep your letters consistent in size and also allow you to be able to have a line to paint within. So once I've got all of my letters painted on, everything screwed in place on the orange side, and everything is dry, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and now do the white side. And I'm going to basically just repeat that exact same process. I'm going to go ahead and add on the white, and I want to make sure they're not going to have screws bump into each other, so I'm going a little bit higher on the white side so that I don't run into each other with my screws. Now you can see right here, I did not drill a hole, and you can see how the painter sticks will crack. So make sure you drill a hole through your painter stick. It will not crack if you go through the wood fence posts. Those will be okay, but the painter sticks, they're not that thick, so they will crack if you try to go through with a screw. So drill your holes, screw them in place, and then go ahead and trace on your letters. And on the back side, I'm going with a more neutral color, which is going to just be black and white. Wreaths are one of my favorite things to make because you can do this for such a more affordable price than paying these super expensive prices that stores charge for these. Now all of my supplies are from the Dollar Tree except for some fabric I'm going to pull in a minute and an extra greenery garland that I get from Hobby Lobby. I buy the really long garlands when they're on sale. You can see me right here zip tying it on. So I used the really whimsical, wispy greenery from the Dollar Tree, and this part right here, the thicker leaf, that one is from the garland. I just zip tied them all on so it's nice and covered, and now I'm going to come in with these yellow sunflowers from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to continue to just fill them in. Wherever I find any openings, any holes that I don't want to see, I'm going to take those leaves that were also on the same stem, the pick for the flower, and I'm just going to glue those into all those spots. Now I'm taking this beautiful striped fabric. I actually found it on a trash day. Somebody was getting rid of this huge, gigantic bolt roll of fabric. I could not believe it. I think the person was just not knowing what to do with it anymore and they wanted to get rid of it. I was so excited. I picked it up. It probably has about 20 yards on the roll. I felt so lucky to snag it on that day. So now I'm just putting the tails on first, and then to strengthen the loops of the bow, this is how I work with fabric. First I double up the fabric, and then I'm going to fold it in half one more time, glue it at the end, and then create a zigzag and add some hot glue. Fluff up the bow and put a little clamp to hold it down. So I'm going to do it one more time. Put some glue at the end, zigzag it at the bottom where it's got a pleat, add in that glue to hold it in place, and then clamp it down. And you can see here that it really does make the most beautiful loop, and you would never know that this was done with fabric. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to just glue on those loops where I want them to be. And I just have so much fun doing this part because I love a big loopy bow on my wreaths, and I'm using fabric. It's just such a fun possibility to work with fabric and creating a beautiful bow for your wreaths. So I hope you give this tip a try. For this DIY, I'm going to be using these tools, a couple of tracing tools, a black foam core board, and then I'm going to just print out these letters B-O because I'm going to be making a really darling sign that says boo that I can hang on my front door. Now I'm going to take this tool. You can see these a lot in the nail section at the Dollar Tree. I see them all the time there, and it's allowing you to be able to do cute little designs. But I actually love using these as tracing tools, and they work so great when you put it onto foam core, where it'll allow you to be able to cut out those letters with your craft knife. The sharper the blade, the cleaner your lines are going to be. So if you start having a hard time cutting through the foam, you know that your blade is old and it is not as sharp, so I recommend always switching out your blades. Then at this point, once my letter has all been cut out and I've done my other two O's, I'm now going to take my black paint and paint that white foam in the middle because I don't want to see that part, because we're going to be putting some black glitter on it in just a second. Now I'm going to take some long pieces of raffia, and this is my trick to make a bow. I always like to gather the long strands and then I twist them so that way I can have better control of the loops for the actual bow. Once I've got it twisted enough, not too crazy tight, but just enough, I keep my finger inside of the loop so I don't lose the structure of the bow, and I just keep playing with it until the knot is nice and tight in the middle, and then I can tie and cut off the ends. Now I'm going back over to my letters, and I'm just going to add on some Elmer's glue all over it, or any adhesive glue that you might have that's a liquid. I wouldn't use Mod Podge on this because I don't think that bonds as well as like an Elmer's glue, some type of a liquid glue like that. And then I'm going to just shake on my black glitter. And now I'm going to start bringing the whole sign together. It's going to look so adorable. I'm taking a piece of raffia, I tied a knot, cut off those extra pieces, and now I'm going to add on a bow right in between those two O's, and then I'm going to do the same thing again right between the B and the O. Now we're going to make a bow for the top, and this is how I make my bows all the time. I will usually construct my bow versus tying my bow with my ribbon. I'm gluing together the ends, and then I'm going to sandwich those with some more glue, cut off a smaller strip of the ribbon, wrap that around the center of those two that I just brought together, and then tighten it all and glue it into place. This allows you to really have a beautiful finish with your bow. You can make your bows look nice and loopy without there being any issues of things being gathered wrong or the lace not ending up on the side that you want to see. That can happen a lot. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the tails down first. Take a piece of raffia and loop it around the B. Bring that up, glue that into place, and then conceal all of that work with the bow in front and add a little hook to the back. And now I can hang it up and it looks so beautiful.
If you have not heard, I am over on Instagram underneath the handle name Heidi Sonboul, just like here on this account. I have so much fun over there sharing sneak peeks and things that I'm working on that you see happen here on this channel way before they ever go live. So come on by and say hi to me and visit me over there. I'll link it down below so it's really easy to find.
I picked this Webster's Dictionary up from my thrift store a long time ago, and I am always forever ripping papers out of it. It is the best to work with, and it has the perfect weight for DIY crafts, or if I need something to paint on, I will gather a bunch of the papers together, lay them all out, glue them in place. And I've had people ask me, what am I painting on? It's typically this paper from this dictionary. So I'm cutting down some of these papers, and I'm going the column of the definitions on the dictionary for that width. And I basically took 3 pieces of them and I rolled them up and glued them in place. Once I had a whole bunch, I went ahead and took a foam core piece from the Dollar Tree, cut out so I had a ring, and now I'm going to start gluing on all of these scrolled up pieces of paper. This project is so easy to do, and it has such a beautiful impact when you put it on your front door. So I am just going all around that circle first, and now I'm coming back in with my second layer. Once you get to that second layer, you're going to want to start switching up the directions so it's not just one scrolled piece of paper stacked on top of each other neatly. You want them to look really scattered, like they've been dropped onto the wreath. And then when you get to the third and fourth layers, as you see that it's starting to get built up, you're going to take twine and you're going to wrap some twine around it and just do a little knot on it. Cut down the twine to the sizes that you want, and then start gluing on that third layer. And then as you get closer to that top fourth layer, you're getting less and less and things are getting staggered. Now we're going to take 2 garden twigs that I picked up from my yard, and then these birds. Now you can get birds from the Dollar Tree. These are birds that I happened to get on clearance last Christmas, and I've just been holding on to them. And I'm going to paint the sticks and 2 birds black. Once I've got those all painted black, I'm going to set them to the side to dry, and then I'm going to make a bow so that I can hang up my wreath. Now I will say, after I made this bow and I got it all up on my door, I did not like the bow on there as much. So you can play with whatever you want to hang it up, because I do have regrets that I put this bow on it. So again, it's just sometimes we make mistakes as crafters, and after you're done, you're like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that. But if you like the bow, by all means, you can totally put the bow on, but I just wanted to show you that you can add a bow to the top, and that's why I left it in this video, to show you that this is what it can look like. But there was something off about the bow. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. Then once I was done with the bow, I glued on the sticks when they were dried, added on my 2 birds, and I just love how all these scrolled up little pieces of paper look. It's got a little bit of that Halloween feel without it being too creepy. If you haven't yet, please do give this video a thumbs up and consider clicking that subscribe button down below. I almost passed up this tray, but I had Calvin with me on this day, and he said, hey, what about this? This is round and this is orange. We were looking for particular items for this video, and I said, you know what? That would make the cutest pumpkin. So I picked it up thanks to his recommendation and his keen eye for catching, and I almost missed it. Definitely take a friend with you when you thrift shop, because sometimes you can find some cool things through the perspective of someone else. So I'm just going to take this cut down painter stick, and I'm going to put some hot glue, wood glue, and then 2 staples on it so that I can make a handle on it. Now I thought that this would be cute, the 2 different tones of these woods, and now I'm sketching on with my pencil, Hello Fall. I thought that that would be a really cute thing to put on and turn this into a pumpkin sign. What a fun way to be able to give it a new look by leaving the wood, and the orange color is actually perfect for this video's theme and the color I'm doing in my home for the fall season. Orange is actually my favorite color because it just is so happy and bright, and I really do just love color so much. So now I'm taking my time and I'm just hand painting on where I sketched out those letters. And once that was done and dry, I'm going to go ahead and take a whole bunch of ribbon, all different kinds and colors, going with the theme that I'm doing for these colors. And I'm going to just tie some of them, glue on some of them, pinch some of them, so they have all different layers to it. And then in the very center, I'm going to just add a simple star button because I love adding buttons to ribbons. I know it's a problem that I have, but I love buttons so much. I actually collect them. And now I'm going to just add a couple more ribbons to the back to make sure it's nice and full and chunky, because the more ribbons, the better. I really just love how it finishes that look and makes it just look more luxurious with all that ribbon on there. And then the last to hang it up, I'm just going to take one more ribbon and glue it towards the top so I can hang it up on a wreath hook, and that completes this look for just a couple of bucks. I am taking all of these different florals, a mixture of past spring florals with some of the newest florals, to really cut down on the price and get that fall look. Now, this color theme is so fun. I wanted it to have that fall color where things are starting to become a little bit lighter from the cold weather outside. It's got that frosty look where it still is also bringing in those beautiful oranges and very soft pinks. Now, I have a couple different ways I like to do my wreaths. First, on this wreath in particular, I'm using a zip tie and I'm bringing together 3 of this peonies from the Dollar Tree, and I'm clustering them in 5 clusters. And then I'm coming back in and I'm also going to zip tie on bundles of these peach carnations, as well as this newer sprig from the Dollar Tree that has these beautiful peachy and white leaves. It's got that frosted look with the little pumpkins. Then I'm going to start to fill in these pink roses, because again, this is that muted tone that you start to see towards the end of fall, where everything is really starting to just get cold and icy outside. I thought these all came together so beautifully. Now, I made sure to still add in some really bright, pretty orange, and then this boxwood as well from the Dollar Tree. I was so impressed that the Dollar Tree had all of these new floral picks this year. Another thing I added in were these white berries. These are all year long. You can find these at the Dollar Tree. And then some of this fall grass. I thought that this pop of green and yellow in here was perfect for this wreath, and it really got that look I was going for. And then the last thing I added in were some of these, I don't think they're black eye Susans, but they're little sunflowers that are white, and it has the really dark brown center of it. I loved that little pop in there. Now this completes the look. What do you think? This DIY is super simple. We're going to take this wood wreath and these berry stems from their floral section. They bring them out around the fall time, and I just love these. I saw a really expensive wreath that had berries just like this on it and thought, no way, I could totally make that so much cheaper. The wreath that I found was like 70, 80 bucks, and I'm going to make this for $12 using all of these berry florals from the Dollar Tree, and as well as this wreath I also picked up from the Dollar Tree. So it's really simple. We're just going to keep tucking them in, alternating between the 2 different colors, because there is a yellow greenish floral one, and then there's also an orangey yellow one. So we're just going to keep alternating them back and forth until we fill the whole thing in, and then when it's done, you're ready to hang it up and to display it in your home, and it just looks so pretty hanging up. We are going to be using the largest wreath form size that we can find, and I believe it's a 16 or 18 inch from the Dollar Tree, and a whole bunch of different florals. Now, almost every single thing came from the Dollar Tree except for this yellow flower, this little tiny wispy yellow flower. Everything else came from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start by popping off all of these whimsy flowers, these yellow ones, because I like to have something light and airy on the outer and inner part of my ring, and I'm going to show you what I mean. I start by first layering on something very dainty and flowy on the outside. And I forgot to mention, I did wrap around a ribbon. I just coiled it all around and glued it into place. Once I have that whimsy wispy flower on the outside, I'm now going to come in with a very creamy carnation, and again, this is from the Dollar Tree, these creamy carnations. I'm just going to glue those sporadically around, and then I'm going to come in. These flowers were put out for the fall 2021 season. I love that they had that burgundy color inside, so I added some of those. Then I'm going to come in with this burlap orange flower. I thought that this was just so beautiful, and it added in that beautiful fall orangey color. Now I'm adding in some burlap hydrangea. I thought that this was really beautiful, and you can see at this point that it's really starting to come to life, and you could technically stop at these colors, but I'm going to continue to take it a little bit further because I love playing with colors and I love trying to get that look in my house. So once I've got those hydrangeas in there, I'm now going to come in with my leaves. These leaves, I loved the color of them. I loved that it had a yellow undertone to them. It looked very much so like a leaf you would see at the fall time. So I'm going to fill in some of those areas. I think the thing with wreaths, for me personally in particular, I like to make sure that the color is well balanced like you would see in a garden. I want everything to look natural and beautiful as much as possible. Now this is where the surprise color is going to come in. And it's going to match that burgundy in those flowers we put on earlier. I'm going to add on 3 little clusters, and each one has 3 flowers within those clusters of this red peony flower. And now I'm going to add on the white sunflowers. There's a large and a small one that they have at the Dollar Tree, and it really just starts to bring everything to life. Now make sure you always remove all of your hot glue gun strings, because that is a thing. It makes it look like it was homemade. When you remove them, it makes it look more high-end. Now I'm going to come in with some pine cones and some little grains. I think that these are like wheat sticks. I'm not sure. Again, the Dollar Tree. And then the last flower I'm going to be adding on is this leaf that comes off of the pick that has pumpkins. You can see some of the pumpkins are in there too, and this leaf. So I'm just going to tuck all of that down in there and really just make sure that each thing has its own shiny moment. And at the very last finishing touch, I'm going to add on a beautiful bow off to the side that won't compete with the colors. And I love how it turned out.
Friends, thank you so much for stopping by and crafting with me today. I hope you felt inspired and you will give some of these a try. Leave a comment down below to let me know which one you like, which one you think you will try, and until the next episode, bye friends!